How would you describe your average day being a broadcaster?
Every day is different, and you've kind of got to plan ahead. I'm going by today. I've got to do end of month invoicing. I've got to do team sheets. I've got to do preparation work. There might be highlights that I need to record for somebody. There might be a match tonight that I need to prep for. And an average Saturday, it's a case of getting yourself ready, getting your bag packed, and jumping on the train and going to wherever I need to go, be it a studio, be it the stadium. Or if I'm working from home, there's a lot less of that.
So you work freelancing. How do you find that being different to what a normal employed role would be like in your?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the first things anyone would say to you is, like, for me, before Christmas, I lost my voice for about 4 or 5 weeks. Not completely. I could do most of it, but for about a week, I was fairly it was fairly bad, and that's something that you take for granted. If I was in a paid job, if I was being paid as an employee for BBC or wherever the broadcaster was, then I would have just got paid and dropped out and said, but you can't afford to, because if you drop out of a match, you lose the income. So being a freelancer can be very tough sometimes. You kind of you're relying on your own health, and you're your own boss. You dictate when you're working, when you're not working, and that's good for me because I've got 2 young children, so I can work that around their school time and childcare and everything like that, whilst my wife's in London working. So it works very well for me in that respect. So I can control how I live my life, and my work-life balance is more in my control than it was when I spent 18 years working as an employee.
So what advice would you give to anyone who's interested in becoming a broadcaster, looking to have a career in sports media?
I look after a pool of commentators already in this country, and I also look after a radio station, Football Live. So I get a lot of young, up and coming journalists, reporters, broadcasters, commentators coming to me. But you've got to prove yourself. Qualifications on the table, yeah, great. You've got to prove that you're worthy of making the grade, and that comes down to your own talent and desire. I've seen good people fall by the wayside because they just can't be bothered to roll their sleeves up and get their hands dirty. I've seen lesser people make it in the industry because they are prepared to do that. They're prepared to sell themselves, make a good network. A network is worth its weight in gold. That's something that you need to be able to do, is go and find the right people in the industry that are going to help carry you forward to where you want to be. I always say the first rung of the ladder is the most difficult rung of the ladder to get on. But there are ways and means to do that, and then once you're on that, you've got to keep hold of that rung of the ladder and start working your way up, and don't fall off of it. It really is a tough industry.
What would you say as well is the main changes to the sporting mediascape since you started out?
I mean, one of the things that's changed really is when I first started out, you had to be at the game to commentate. It was never heard of that you'd be in a studio, and now a lot of games are done from home. There's a lot of softwares. There's a lot of companies that are going down that line. You'll find that even the Skies and the BTs and the BBCs, a lot of the games, the African Cup of Nations recently, for example, not many of those games would have been commentated on by a commentator who's flown over to Africa. So there's a carbon footprint side of things. There's the cost of traveling to a game. For example, Sky or BT might want to send someone to a Champions League game over in Portugal. They've got to put these 2 guys up in a hotel, fly them out there, feed them, entertain them, fly them back, and that's probably 2 or 3 nights in a hotel as well. That's quite expensive. If you just get them into London for a couple of hours to do the game in a studio, you're saving an awful lot of money. Because I was at Wembley Stadium for the Carabao Cup final. I looked across, there's a lot of empty seats in the media areas, because the game can be covered, be it written or be it verbally, from a studio, or for some people from their own dining table or office. So that's the way it's gone nowadays. I remember I visited Villa Park in 1996 for the European Championships, just before the tournament started, and the upper tier of the stand was literally just press. And that wouldn't be the case now at a major tournament, because so many of them would be doing it remotely. That's the biggest change that I've seen, I think.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. That's been great.
Okay,
Thank you,
no
Barry.
problem.